So hypertrophy tripod. So tripod means three-legged, right? So uska what is this? What are the three legs of a hypertrophy tripod? Basically, progressive overload, nutrition, rest and recovery. Now I will tell you how does this work, and I will explain each one of them in detailed fashion. क्या होता है? Okay, let's start with progressive overload. What is progressive overload? Let's go with the basic definition of it. Um, um, let's say bicep. It's right in front. So let's say आप bicep मार रहे हो, तो आप 10 kg का 10 रेप मार रहे हो फॉर बाइसेप, राइट? 10 के ऊपर नहीं जा रहा है विथ स्ट्रिक्ट फॉर्म, नॉट लाइक दिस. इट्स अ स्ट्रिक्ट फॉर्म. 10 के ऊपर फेल्ड, फाइन, कूल, राइट? तो यहाँ पे क्या हुआ? फर्स्ट इज फेलियर. फेलियर से होता है ब्रेकडाउन. ब्रेकडाउन होने के बाद क्या लगेगा उसको? देन इट विल नीड न्यूट्रिशन. So what is the nutrition that is needed? Primarily amino acids, right? 9 essential amino acids, which is present in complete protein, where the bioavailability is great. उनसे आप क्या करोगे? उनसे आप 9 essential amino acids लोगे. Cool. आपने ले लिया, उसके बाद जाके you will give it time for rest and recovery. After 9 essential amino acids, you will give it time for rest and recovery. How are you doing rest and recovery? First is sleeping, which is very primary. You have no idea how underrated that is. आपको लगता है कुछ नहीं होता है, कुछ नहीं होता है. बहुत कुछ होता है. So minimum I would say 6 to 8 hours of sleep is what you need for rest and recovery every night. At night, at least minimum, to make sure. There are other factors also, to be very frank. There is RHR, there is resting heart rate, there are a lot of multiple factors that can help for your rest and recovery, but I would not like to go that deep into it. So if you're unko address karne hai, then you have to start meditating. You have to make sure your heartbeat is slower and so on and so forth. It gets too complex at this stage, I feel. But let's say for the basic understanding, let's say 8 hours of sleep, right? Then let's say 9 essential amino acids are there. Then first, okay, started with progressive overload, went to nutrition, rest and recovery. Cool. उसके बाद क्या हो रहा है? Once this cycle has been completed, your muscle has now not just compensated but overcompensated. Overcompensate हो गया मतलब क्या किया? मसल क्या बोल रहा था कि okay, I'll give you an example. आप जब भी है ना, when you are drowning in water ना, जब आप पानी में डूबते हो ना, तभी आपका बाकी सब systems, let's say your limbs primarily stop working. पहले आपके हाथ पैर काम करना बंद कर देते. Then the core, then the heart, then the brain, then the heart. Why is there this line of inactiveness? ये लाइन में क्यों जाता है बॉडी? डायरेक्टली सब कुछ एक साथ बंद क्यों नहीं होता है? Why? Because that is your body's defense mechanism. Have you seen those guys, videos of starving kids from Africa? उन्हें पता है वो स्टार्व कर फिर उन लोगों को थोड़ा पहुंच रहता है. Why is that? Because वो जो भी खाते हैं ना, उनका बॉडी स्टोर रखता है, because that is the body's defense mechanism. उन्हें पता नहीं है when their next meal would be, so the body is storing that kind of food in the system, right? So defense mechanism. So that is why in this scenario, जब आपका बॉडी फेलियर हिट करता है, then the body's response to it is कि बॉस, I need to make sure कि मैं इतना strong बनूं कि next time अगर मेरे पास ऐसा कोई लोड आएगा, then I can tackle it. So this muscle building process is a defense mechanism of the body, जहाँ पे after following these 3 steps, it does not compensate, it overcompensates. So next time, आपने जो 10 kg का 10 rep मारा था, so either आप 10 kg का 12 rep मारो या 12 kg का 10 rep मारो. Any of the two. Again, the speed and everything would be same, the form would be same considering all of the scenarios. But ये करने के बाद then you are doing progressive overload, right? Progressive. So again you progressed. Again you underwent the nutrition where iron is the essential amino acids. Let me talk with for about other nutrition also. So let's say you are going for carbs, right? There are carbs, there are fats. So whenever you overeat uh, protein, if not utilized for muscle building, undergo gluconeogenesis. ग्लूकोनोजेनेसिस मतलब क्या? प्रोटीन का इवेंचुअली ब्रेकडाउन होकर ग्लूकोज ही बनता है, जो कार्ब्स का भी बनता है, राइट? एंड इट एक्ट्स एज अ सोर्स ऑफ एनर्जी इफ देर इज नो इनफ कार्ब्स इनसाइड योर बॉडी. कार्ब्स नहीं है ना, तो बॉडी क्या करता है? प्रोटीन को ब्रेक डाउन करता है, एनर्जी के लिए यूज करता है. कूल. बट कैन द सेम हैपन इन द टर्म्स ऑफ कार्ब्स? कार्ब्स होके प्रोटीन का काम कर सकता है क्या? नहीं कर सकता है. व्हाई? Protein has nitrogen in it, which is used in recovery of the muscles, जो carbs के पास नहीं है, right? So, what is the bottom line of this? If you eat enough carbs, आपका protein breakdown नहीं होगा for the energy purpose. Protein को आपको संभाल के रखना है, और you have to eat enough carbs so that the protein is preserved for muscle building. If some calories you are eating from protein and carbs, you would much rather prefer carbs, no? Why would you prefer carbs? Because that is body's preferred energy source. आपका body prefer करता है carbs से energy लेना. Protein से ले सकता है, yes. But what does your body prefer? Carbs. Then ऐसा खाना हो रहा है ना, ऐसे क्यों खाने? So I would just say कि stick to carbs for source of energy, right? So then you are having carbs here. After carbs, there is fats. I don't know if you know, but keep 10% of your daily calories from fats. उससे क्या होता है? It is very good for hormonal cycling of your body. Your body is in the good hormonal state, making sure all of this. Let's say you're in like a weight loss journey, right? Especially girls, guys too, right? Very important. Let's start with testosterone for guys. What is the major driver of testosterone? Of course, like when you say about the other things, progressive overload, compound movements and all, sure, rest and recovery, of course. But when it comes to food, fats, cholesterol, these are the factors that majorly drive your testosterone. If there are no fats in your diet, your hormones won't be regulated, your testosterone would not be in the great place. तो उसके साथ आप कुछ भी करो, you will not have optimum results. So to make sure your testosterone is at a nice place, along with rest recovery, compound movement, everything, take good amount of fats in your diet. That will help you regulate that, right? So what are the three purposes of this macronutrients? Fats ka regulation of hormones, carbs ka for energy, protein ka for rest and recovery, right? For wear and tear of your muscles. Rest and recovery mein, I'll say 6 to 8 hours of sleep. Second, what I would say is if you try to meditate and make sure that your resting heart rate is as low as possible. If your resting heart rate is low, your body is in a very calm state, which is like a very optimal place for your body to build muscle. How do you do that? Have some form of tracker on you. Keep a track of what your resting heart rate is. Try to get that low. How would you do that? Through meditation, through calming yourself. There are a lot of practices that you can do. Or not be into a high stress situation. I understand life does not give us that privilege to not be in a high stress situation. But if that happens, then let's say lower resting heart rate is like a great place for rest and recovery too. और इस तरीके से when you take all of this into picture, you will have a very efficient or a very comfortable spot for your body to experience hypertrophy, right? So hypertrophy करने के लिए, let me just revise it one more time. Hypertrophy करने के लिए hypertrophy tripod बहुत जरूरी है. What are the three factors of it? Progressive overload, nutrition, rest and recovery. पहले क्या करेंगे? वर्कआउट करेंगे, मसल्स को ब्रेक डाउन करेंगे, उसके बाद न्यूट्रिशन से, प्रोटीन से, अमीनो एसिड से उसको रिपेयर करेंगे. रिपेयर करके उसको रेस्ट एंड रिकवरी करने का टाइम देंगे. टाइम देने के बाद वापस क्या करेंगे? वापस उसको प्रोग्रेसिव ओवरलोड से उसको वापस ब्रेक डाउन करेंगे विथ मोर heavier weight or more heavier workload. ब्रेक डाउन किया, अगेन यू आर गोइंग टू हैव दैट प्रोटीन बट अलॉन्ग विद कार्ब्स एंड फैट्स. वो तीनों चीज एक साथ खाने के बाद योर मसल्स फिल अप एवरीथिंग दे नीड फॉर रिकवरी, बट उसके बाद उनको रेस्ट देना पड़ेगा. After you give rest, again they will progress, again they will get bigger, again you will experience hypertrophy. उसके बाद you again repeat the same cycle. This is how the basic hypertrophy happens, right? So in the next chapter, we will talk about how progressive overload is happening and how basically for in terms of weight training, आपको in progressive overload, how can you manipulate progressive overload? How can you periodize it? How can you make sure कि let's say now I'm talking about the reps and the weight. There is even speed. There is even pause. So how can you use multiple factors to experience progressive overload in your workout? This is what we will talk in the next chapter. See you in the next one.